Welcome to TV9 Digital. I'm Neha. Our biggest nightmare has come true. Just when we thought the worst was over, we're now finding ourselves in the middle of a second and much worse outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic. The second wave, ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you again, is much more severe and deadly. Let me quickly show you the situation today. In fact, India recorded its biggest ever single day spike with over 1.84 lakh new cases, 82,339 discharges and 1,027 deaths in the last 24 hours as per the Union Health Ministry. With this, the total number of cases stands at over 1.38 crore, recoveries at more than 1.23 crore and active cases at over 13.65 lakh, as you can see rightly on your screens. In fact, let's quickly take a look at the death toll as well. The death toll, as you can see, stands at over 1.72 lakh and India has so far vaccinated nearly 11 crore 12 lakh people. Moving on to the worst affected states across the country, we begin, obviously goes without saying, with Maharashtra. Here Maharashtra continues to be the worst affected state. Active cases in the state stand at in fact nearly 6 lakhs, while over 28.66 lakh people have recovered. The death toll here, of course, recovery gives us a little bit of, we can heave a sigh of relief when it comes to the recoveries, but let's quickly take a look at the death toll, which right now stands at 58,526. If you have to speak about the second adversely affected state, which is Chhattisgarh, here in fact the active number of cases in Chhattisgarh stand at 1,91,039 and the recoveries in fact here are 3,57,668, while 5,187 people have succumbed to the highly contagious disease. Moving on to the third worst affected state now, which is Uttar Pradesh. In fact, in Uttar Pradesh, you have 95,980 active cases, while 6,18,293 people have recovered, have been discharged. And do remember, in fact, talking about Uttar Pradesh, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has also tested positive for novel coronavirus just a little while ago. Well, moving on to Karnataka now, do remember that the state did do a certain, in fact, to a certain extent, a fair job when it comes to handling the first wave of coronavirus pandemic, but it is now battling the worst. The state has around, in fact, if we have to see the active number of cases, 78,636, nearly 10 lakh discharges, while 13,008 people have recovered. Next up, Kerala. Well, Kerala was termed as a role model for other states to follow as it handled the pandemic really well. Of course, I'm talking about the initial stages, but now the active cases in the state stand at, as you can see, 52,450. The discharges are at over 11.23 lakh, while the death toll, in fact, here is at 4,814. Well, this is the state of affairs at this point in time in our country, just when we thought 2021 was going to be better than 2020. Let's quickly go across to my colleague Vishnu Shankar, who joins us in this broadcast to give us insights as to why is this really happening at this point in time, even when the vaccination process is ongoing. Well, Vishnu, my first question, obviously, I'm going to speak the common man's heart out. Why is this happening? We know that the government officials, the government itself is, pretty quick to put the onus on the common man, saying that it's the common man who is showing laxity when it comes to following the COVID-19 norms. But is that really it? Don't you think that the complete onus also somewhere lies on the government?
Both, actually. The onus that rests on people is the fact that ever since the first wave was waning, people started to take things very, very casually. People were not wearing masks, not practicing social distancing, hand washing went for a toss, and generally people thought we are okay now, we have got a vaccine, we'll be fine, and people started behaving like everything was normal. But unfortunately, that was not the case. The virus was mutating very, very fast. It's a very clever virus. And
very complex too.
Yes, and starting February, cases began to rise from the middle of February. And then what has happened is for all to see. The government is responsible because government should have been more careful about communicating the danger and not taking this thing lightly once vaccination began. But that didn't happen. Then again, the elections in 4 states and 1 union territory, there was no concept of social distancing when rallies were happening. People were not wearing masks. So that was again a problem. And come to think of it, people were even ignored the call to vaccination. The health workers didn't turn up in great numbers. The frontline workers didn't turn up in great numbers. Common people obviously had lots of hesitation about whether to take the vaccine or not. It is only when they became scared.
Well, I think this would not be fair to say, so to speak, because the government did try its best to sort of allay the fears of people, to tell them that it's very important to vaccinate. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also held a virtual conference with many healthcare workers, many frontline workers who were vaccinated. And they did try to sort of tell people that it's absolutely fine to take the vaccination. In fact, it is very important for the people, especially above the age of 45, to get vaccinated, given the complex nature of the virus and given the fact that it's spreading like a wildfire.
No, sure. But that didn't go home completely. That is why we have a problem today. The government should have been insisting more about the need for vaccination for all those people who qualified for it. Government did try, but people had misgivings and they were not clarified enough. Therefore, until it was driven home that, my God, the virus is upon us again and we need to have some protection, because the vaccination itself will give you the antibodies that will fight corona. That's when footfall started at the vaccination centers. So people were tardy. The government was a bit not so careful about what was really going on. And then we have a situation which is nearly out of hand at the moment.
But how do you explain what's happening in Maharashtra? One really gets short of logic. If you take a look at West Bengal, massive rallies taking place, but the state is not really seeing an exponential rise like we're witnessing in Maharashtra. Is there more than what meets the eye?
Absolutely. The data from West Bengal is only just beginning to arrive. So we don't really know exactly how serious is the situation in West Bengal. Maharashtra, obviously, from the very beginning of the second surge, has been reeling from the sheer numbers of people getting infected and dying. So Maharashtra, even in the first surge, was one of the problem states because people were pretty lax about practicing the basic COVID protocol. So Maharashtra had a problem, and the election related states will have a problem now that the voting is getting over, especially in West Bengal. We will see, I fear we will see a surge. The other problem is the Kumbh Mela, where the government did not make enough efforts before the snans and the celebrations started. So
well, even the cops are saying that they can't control the situation. Even if they try to, there would be a stampede-like situation. So what does one really do?
Because there's a lot of crowd, and in that situation, if you start putting in diversions, it can lead to an accident for sure. The government should have known a Kumbh always attracts a lot of people. And I have to say, the arrangement should have been better. Okay. Moreover, the pilgrims should have been sensitized. They were not.
All right. So, given the seriousness of the situation, let me ask you this. Can this situation be brought under control? Is there hope?
There is, but people have to be very, very careful about how they behave now. People should only go out if absolutely necessary. When going out, you have to have a mask, no matter what. Have a double mask if you're going to a crowded place. Use hand sanitation wherever necessary, and always practice social distancing. And for all those who are 45 plus, they need to take a vaccination shot. If they haven't, they should do it now. Right.
Thank you very much, Vishnu. Well, I'm just going to reiterate what Vishnu Shankar just said. And I'd also like to request all TV9 viewers, please wear masks. Do not take lightly the threat that coronavirus poses. It is dangerous. It is fatal. Take care. Thank you very much for joining us. If at all you like the information that we just shared, do not forget to subscribe to TV9 Digital across all social media platforms. Stay safe. Keep those masks on.